So I hadn't made a video because a lot of it seemed, a couple of months or so just seemed like, in a lot of ways, going back to how things were before in terms of having to be immersed in a lot of mundane things like visiting family, focusing on job related things, which kind of took over a lot of how time was spent. And yeah, even though there's a scene that there's no one doing things, there's still continue on with life in a lot of ways as before, but not in the same way, because there's still a lot of, or there was still a lot of needing to take time to just process and feel just raw emotions that were coming up. There's no more that story, or even if a story, did come up or does come up, it's just seen to be not really, it's just not taken seriously. And so it's more like whatever is just arising in the body, in terms of, what you would label emotions, sensations, feelings, but it's just whatever is there, and it's really undefinable. And a lot of times it's funny because it's just seeing how a story just comes up, and the sensations of, what's there is felt first, and it just comes like from out of nowhere. You just can't even predict it, and it can change so quickly, and it doesn't really need to mean anything. I guess in that way, it just kind of moves through the body faster, or it just doesn't get stuck. So yeah, so it has felt like it was, very much being immersed in things, and that's just what was happening until, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just like kind of more, there was just like a clear seeing of how empty things are, and I guess more of the story of that self that you thought you were just falls away. It's just a process. It's not all at once, and so it's as if gradually more and more just falls away on its own, and you're not doing anything. There's nothing that you can do to make that happen. It's just like, literally, I can't say like, oh, I did this and that's why more fell away or whatever. It just literally, from out of nowhere, uh, is just kind of like being hit with it and being like, wow. And it's also sad because can be described as those parts of you are dying. That's because that story is dying. That belief in that is falling away, is dissolving. You're seeing through that, and so it's sad. And I can't even say that it just feels like probably the deepest sadness. And what I was saying is, I can't say that it's mine, but it just, yeah, it's painful. And there's also like residue of fear, which is sensed in, I guess, like Well, that's just what it seems like. The body's like symptoms of like just pressure and maybe like teeth clamping down a bit, but not as intense as before, but still like some sort of remnants that are there, and they're just felt. They're not, pushed away, and because there's nothing wrong with it. I think that the body's natural impulse is to want to move away from that. But yeah, and just being with that, and also just knowing that no matter what, you're safe. There's nothing that can hurt you. Um, there's just more resting in whatever is arising, no matter how it feels. And yeah, so after that, yeah, there was like um, no ability to be able to continue to work on what I was working on. So um, yeah, it's just mostly just being with all of the emotions that were coming up, crying, um, just lying down, doing nothing basically, and that was completely fine. And that's been completely fine, but it just wasn't, it hadn't been done as much. But yeah, I mean, you really don't know what's going on beneath the surface. Things can seem like, just going about your daily life, but I think the body just takes its own natural time to process, because it's a really big change from, believing that you are this separate self with a story, believing that that is really true, that all happened, that you did that. Um, but, when you hear this message and, trigger something in you, and that can't be unseen, but I think that it's can take some time for the body to like I guess fully assimilate it. And it's not something you do. It all just happens on its own. It's not like a spiritual practice where you have to follow a certain formula to get somewhere, because here there is no roadmap. There's nothing for you to do. It's actually the opposite of that. Naturally, there is, I don't know, at this point, I guess it is more like being with whatever is arising as a natural thing that just happens. There's no more that like impulse to run away from that. It's basically all the stuff that you're trying to get away from, that you think awakening will solve for you, and then you see ultimately it's not different than anything else. So there has been a lot of mourning, which had, I guess, not been as frequent. Yeah, it's just whatever the body needs to do. Also, a lot of the times, it's really difficult to even say or know what is going on. So it's difficult to make these videos because I have no idea what's going on, and it's really hard to describe. A lot of it is just what it feels like. When I first heard the non-dual message, there's really no knowing what this is actually like. You have an idea of what you think it is, and I think like a lot of it is really like the initial impulse to go towards it is just very ego driven, because you want to no longer be in pain, whatever that is for you, whatever it is that you are escaping, want to escape from. So you probably think it entails certain things because that's what you've heard other people say, like maybe a dark night of the soul, some sort of awakening. I remember I had seen so many videos of like dark nights of the soul. It is so strange. You really have no idea what's going to happen and what is happening as it's happening. I spent like almost 3 years completely incapacitated, and what was existential dread from the symptoms of the body, what it was going through nonstop. And many people say, well, it's impossible for you to be in existential dread for more than, I don't know, like a day. I don't know what, but yeah, and my body was in that extreme state of dread for a really long time. And even at night, like my dreams were of me dying. And even though the thoughts were not panicking for like most of the time, and it was just like the body being this extreme panic state, yeah, it just continued to get worse and worse. But like with that, there was also the seeing that no one's doing anything, which only became more and more clear and apparent. But since things were getting worse and worse for the body, that is something that was really difficult to handle, and also very worrisome for my family, because no doctors wanted to see me anymore, and they had no idea what was going on. So sometimes there was even like thinking about death, taking my own life. It just seemed like everything was meaningless. I remember I had some people that I had met through this Facebook group for people who had experienced a Kundalini awakening, since I really, initially at least, I thought that that's what I was going through, because of all of the symptoms, behaviors, all of that. But through that, I actually met a few people who were really helpful, because they had been through it as well, or they thought they had been through that as well, or they believed that they were going through that. And even though their experience wasn't as difficult as mine, they had still been through difficult experiences, and so it was good to just kind of have that support and talk to them. Like, I didn't resonate with their beliefs, because I didn't really, aside from having like what appeared to be like Kundalini symptoms, like involuntary kriyas, I didn't believe in any of the spiritual stuff surrounding it, or not a lot. I mean, I had been into meditation, and yeah, I mean, the beliefs all kind of just were gradually falling away, so it didn't really matter. It was just great to hear their stories, and going through something difficult, and how they dealt with it, how they were able to just get by through it. I remember I also I guess because things were so difficult, I tried everything that I thought could possibly help with what I was going through. Because I was just like, I couldn't do anything. I was in extreme pain all the time. Having involuntary kriyas, I couldn't, for most of the 2.5 years, I could not sit down. I had to like stand all day long, and in my body in this panic, teeth grinding or chattering, and like the most I could do was like lie on my side at night to go to sleep, and it was so uncomfortable. Like I could barely move, nothing could touch me. I had to like wear super baggy clothes because even like clothes touching me was just like, it would just send me into like even more panic or whatever. So yeah, I saw many different practitioners that I thought could possibly help, or that other people suggest could help. Um, both medical, like Western medicine, and Eastern or spiritual practitioners, like supposedly people who are experts on Kundalini, which I do not believe that there are any experts on. The people who saw me were not able to help, and a lot of the times it actually made things more difficult and more painful for me. And there also just wasn't a resonance in the stuff that they were saying, like their beliefs and stuff that I had to do. But I tried it all anyway, as much as I could, and just none of it helped. Um, yeah, I remember I even did like shamanic healing, just different things that were suggested by people or recommended. And somehow it all ended up would make me feel even worse. And yeah, sometimes that feeling worse wouldn't subside, and I would just continue feeling worse for like a long period, and then worse from that. So there was no like recuperation from it. Um, yes. So I guess after 2 years, I gave up trying things because I tried it so much, and it all had like a negative impact. And at that point, things just continued to get worse. And so, yeah, why I'm recounting this, because I don't want to be repetitive, but I feel like people just really um, want to rely on a methodology, or like there's like a lot of fear when what would normally work for others doesn't work for you, like seeing a doctor, seeing spiritual practitioners, a therapist. I think I don't remember. I think maybe like after a year and a half, I couldn't speak anymore. Like even speaking um, would send my body into a crisis state. Like the most I could speak was like a few minutes a day, maybe, because my tongue was super sensitive. It was just insane. And um, yes, I couldn't speak. I couldn't open my eyes. My eyes were always squinting because I was seeing like visual phenomena. It's just like anything like the mind can conjure, like I experienced it. And it seemed to be like this huge manifestation of the existential dread that was there. Yes, what I wanted to say is that it's okay. It's okay if no one can seemingly help. Maybe there's someone who can hold space. Maybe there isn't. For me at the beginning there was, and then after that I couldn't see anybody. Um, and it was fine. There was a trust in the body that was just arising more and more, and a letting go of that need for control, which is just fear based. And with that, the body just did what it needed to do. When I tell the story to a friend of mine of how things eventually shift from out of nowhere, um, for them it's similar to people who do plant medicine in order to get to the point where they can fully feel and fully express all of their traumas, which they were never able to do. So that also just happened on its own, and it was seen so clearly how, wow, no one is doing this. Like, it's just, all of this is just miraculous, for lack of better words. Yeah, so I just want to say, you don't have to follow a formula. You don't have to listen to other people, believe that things have to be a certain way. You know, whatever way that your body is fine. This will apparently just, unfold as it does. And you really have no idea what is going on. And yeah, just being with what is.